I had a situation that happened years ago. I was in college at the time, so I was, I don't know, what, 17, 18 years old, whatever you are in college, 19, 20. All right, I was 28, but no, I was like 19, right? And it wasn't during the school year. It was during the summertime, and I worked in town, and I was actually driving home. We lived out in the middle of the desert, and there was one main road that went out to our little subdivision out there, and for 2 or 3 miles, there's desert on each side of the road. And so as I'm driving down this road in my old Chevy truck in the middle of the afternoon, just watching ahead, same time I did every day, cruising down the road, I look up ahead, and suddenly ahead of me in the road, a snake starts out onto the road. Now, this is when you know this sort of thing started at a young age, right? Yeah. You understand that that's the thing that's wonderful about my occupation, right? I'm still a little boy who comes home with snakes and lizards in his pockets. I just take them out before they go in the washing machine now. That's very important to learn, youngsters, okay? Especially if you love your mom or your wife or... No, it doesn't happen anymore. But anyway, I'm driving down the road, and I see the snake. It starts out onto the road, and it's about 100 yards or so ahead of me. It's right at that distance to where I couldn't really tell what it was, all right? And I knew a lot about snakes at this point, but I couldn't really identify it. Had it been any closer, I could have identified it pretty easily. Had it been farther away, I figured no big deal, I'll never see it anyway. But it's right at that distance where I'm thinking, you know what? I could probably get up to that. I could probably catch it. I could probably find out what it is. So I punch the gas on my truck. I take off to get up to this thing before it gets across the road. And as I punch the gas and take off after it, the snake stops right in the middle of the other lane. Yeah, that indicates to me probably, I scared him, he's getting ready to jump off the road and disappear. Well, I don't want that to happen. So to try and keep him on the road as long as possible, I let up on the gas, but I swerve into the other lane so that if I do scare him, he stays on the road, right? This is all very important if you're ever trying to catch a snake crossing the road, all right? You all, it works, all right? So I slow down, he's right there, and sure enough, it works great. As I slow down, the snake starts moving, he continues across the road, and he starts to cross. Well, I don't really want him all the way across the road, so I punch the gas, and I jump back into this lane to cut him off. Well, as I do that, he stops smack in the middle of the road. Now, my mind is racing. I'm going, what kind of snake is this? I'm getting pretty close now. In fact, suddenly I realize that snake is smack in the middle of the road, so close that if I stop now and he continues across the road, I'm going to lose sight of him around the front of the truck. He could disappear in a hole under a bush. I'll never see him again. So I slam on the brakes. I'm trying to scare the snake back the other direction, right? I slam on the brakes, sliding in sideways, making all kinds of noise, fully understanding snakes do not have ears, but hey, it's worth a try. As I come sliding in here, truck sideways in the road, it works, it scares the snake, but he continues across the road. Now, I jump out of the truck. It's basically at a dead stop at this point or close to it. I go running around the front of the truck while the snake disappears into the ditch. He goes down towards this bush, and all I can think of is he gets in that bush. I don't know where he's going to go. As I go sliding down the ditch after him into the bush, from the other side of the bush, my brother stands up with his fishing pole and the rubber snake attached to the end of it. He thought it was pretty funny, too. I couldn't really argue with him. And I don't know what his view looked like, but I know what mine was. And then he has the audacity to ask for a ride home. I'm like, seriously, it's 1.5 miles. You walk here, you can walk home, all right? And you need to pay for these new tires, too. They're flat on one side now. But, and of course, the good news is I understood why I couldn't identify that snake. We don't have rubber snakes sliding around the desert. To this day, he wishes he had videotaped it because he says it was really great, and I'm sure it was. But come to find out, he had sat over there on that side of the bush with that fake snake across the road for over an hour in the middle of the desert, in the middle of the summer, waiting for me, knowing exactly where to start and stop the snake to get the most action out of me back and forth. Yeah, he thought it was great.